We've talked to, myself and some of my colleagues, a lot of our supervisors, mayors, local elected officials, and our highway superintendents as it relates to roads and bridges and the CHIPS money. And they love the CHIPS program. We love it. We support it. You guys support it. But one of the real concerns they have, I've talked to several of them, is that we could be throwing some good money after bad if we don't keep up with the infrastructure underneath our roads and bridges. Yeah. Our sewer lines, our water lines. You've seen what happened in Rensselaer and Troy, Saratoga, in Rotterdam, New York. We had 9 breaks in this unit just a couple weeks ago. It doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense to invest in roads and bridges when they could collapse because the foundation of our sewer, our sanitary sewer lines, our storm sewer lines, our gas sewer lines are maintained. Now, there's a program that's in your proposal here. I think it's for $350 million. Can you tell me how that works for sewer and water assistance to local municipalities to replace and repair outdated, some of them are 100 years old. Sewer lines in part of my district actually are made of wood. So,
well, one of the things we've done is we've put in $50 million for water infrastructure because people are going back to the water on the Hudson and everywhere else. So we're giving them money so they can redo their side, their locations. So we are putting money there in addition to an increase of $100 million that the governor put in. So that was $150 million that we have in there just for that area.
And
and it's all together it's 350, the 350 you mentioned.
350 million.
Yeah.
Now, the consolidated highway funding for roads and bridges is not a contest. It's not a grant thing. Every municipality by formula gets a certain amount of money.
Yes.
Infrastructure is not Republican. It's not Democrat. It's not partisan. Every municipality has some concerns. Is this a grants program where people have to compete through grants to get the funding, or is every municipality going to get some of that $350 million for
I think they have to make their application, and we'll pick what has to be done.
When you say we'll pick, who picks?
The person they apply to. If it's the water one, they go to the area there. If it's transportation, they'll go to the DOT. They'll talk to the different agencies that do the program, that do the work.
So it'll be by application?
Yes.
And by grants?
Yes.
Because as we've talked to a lot of our supervisors for highways, they indicate they'd like a separate program where separate designated amount of funding, and we've developed something called S.W.A.P over here to swap out the old pipes, the old infrastructure underneath the ground, and do replacement in the maintenance type program. Safe Water Infrastructure Action Plan. And they're very interested in having a CHIPS-like formula for that. Can't be the same as CHIPS because it's different, it's underneath the ground. Yeah. But all our municipalities, I think, are very concerned about having some funding at least to protect the investment they make on top of the roads and bridges and make sure they don't collapse underneath.
Yeah, well.
And we've sent something to the governor and I think to the leaders, and I'm hopeful that's something we can look at in the future. That every municipality, regardless of if they provide an application or a grant and are not chosen, we have those economic development councils, which I understand they're supposed to be a competition, and there's...
Yeah, they've had a couple. That's one they set up last year.
Yeah.
Because I sat in one of those, yes. And they brought money into 5 groups, but everybody's going to end up getting in the end.
And I see our infrastructure on top of the sewer and water and underneath as not only safety, as not only fiscal protection for municipalities because of the breaks. I see it as economic development. Yeah. We're not going to bring industry here. We're not going to bring small business here. We're not going to create jobs if people don't feel safe with their infrastructure. So I was thinking that some of these discretionary funds that the governor has, which sometimes we don't know that much about, there might be some funding in there for this S.W.A.P program, Safe Water Infrastructure Action Plan, where every municipality gets some funding.
That's something we should talk to the governor about, because you got to say he's been working very hard on that, especially getting money upstate. And you're right, because not only is it the roadways, it's our buildings and everything else.
Yeah.
Our colleges, Rockefeller built those colleges 70 years ago, and we've got to keep them up. And there are a lot of those So there's a lot of things that has to be done,
I agree.
and we've been trying to do it and keeping up, and I've seen a good job being done by the governor to get it done.
Yeah.
So we'll take advantage of what you've said and make sure that we get all the things you want done.
Because it doesn't make sense to put beautiful roads, new paved, and have them collapsed in 6 months because they weren't able to investigate what the lurking monster underneath.